Welcome to Dakota Test Prep question walkthrough. In this video, we're going to do some neutral sizing. Ain't no party like a neutral sizing party. Okay, sorry, that was bad. Anyway, when it comes to neutral sizing, we are going to follow Rule 4-018. And as with everything in the code book, there are no hard and fast 100% certainties. Neutral sizing is absolutely no different than that. So we don't just automatically say, hey, the phase conductors are this size. Our neutral also has to be this size. That only happens when the neutral is expected to carry current under normal operations. When we're talking about nonlinear loads, discharge lighting, harmonics, things with computers, things like that, we actually do have to size our neutral according to Rule 4-018. So you are installing a 240, 120 volt single phase feeder with two ungrounded conductors and a neutral. Each phase conductor supplies 400 amps of load. The neutral carries the maximum unbalanced load. There is no discharge lighting or nonlinear loads. When it comes to the C of Q, the fact that it states anything to do with discharge lighting or nonlinear loads, that, my friends, is a clue. I would love to sing the Blues Clues theme song here, but I fear many of you may not know it. We are going to play Blues Clues because it's a really great game. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to assume 75 rated copper conductors in a raceway. What is the size of the neutral? Well, the fact that it has 75 copper conductors in a raceway, awesome. That means table 2, so that takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. And it also says 75. So we know right off the bat, beautiful. We're going to be using table 2 with a 75 degree. Now, let's actually look at how we do this. When we are sizing our neutral, we are going to determine what is the maximum unbalanced load. If the loads are different, the max unbalanced load is the higher of the two loads. In this case, each of them supplies a 400 amp of load. So we are going to just use our 400 amp load. Then we have to figure out whether or not there's discharge lighting or nonlinear loads. In this case, it states that we do not have to worry about discharge lighting, so that's awesome. We can't touch 200 amps. According to Rule 4-018, we can't touch 200 of these amps. So, well, that's terrible. Let's erase that and try again. Boy, 200 amps, we can't touch. Then what it's saying is whatever is left over, we take at 70%. So we're going to go 400, because that's what our load was, minus the 200 we can't touch, which obviously leaves us with 200 amps left over. We take whatever's left over at 70%. So we're going to do that 200 times our 70%, and that's going to leave us with 140 amps. We are then going to take this 140 amps, swoop it up to here, and add it. So now we're going to do 200 amps, the 200 we were not allowed to touch. We're going to add our 140, and that leaves us with 340 amps. So this is what we're actually going to size our neutral with. We are then going to go to our table 2 and the 75 degree column. And that tells us it's going to be a 500 kc mil right there. Now, you will notice in this question over here that 500 kc mil is actually not offered as one of the options. One of the things the C of Q likes to do is give you options that are kind of, but not the answer that you got. So we have to figure out. We know for a fact that we just did the 500. That's awesome. But if it's not offered as an option as one of the answers, which one are we going to pick? When it comes to code, we never downsize our conductors. Ever, ever. If this is what we calculated, we cannot downsize from there. We can only upsize. So even though 500 kc mil is not offered as an option, we are going to upsize to the next available best option, which in this case would be 600 kc mil. Yes, I know that is very frustrating. I know that it's annoying. But when it comes to the C of Q, you always have to go with the best answer or the best option that they offered to you. So you know it's 500. It's not an option. You have to go to the next best option, which in this case is our 600 kc mil. So in the case of this question specifically, you would go with 600 kc mil. Now, if this question had mentioned about discharge lighting or a nonlinear load, we would have to refer back to Rule 4-018 and use the rules for that as well. This one was a very simple, basic question, but if it was a little more complicated, again, we refer back to 4-018 and it will help you out. And that, my friends, is how we size a neutral.